Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have a new dinner recipe for you guys, and this one happens to be one of our newest favorites. I'll be making my easy lamb roast dinner with chunks of juicy, flavorful, melt in your mouth leg of lamb, some baby potatoes, chunks of carrots. This dish is so aromatic, so delicious, and so easy. Did I mention easy? It just takes a few ingredients, a few minutes on the stovetop, and this goes into the oven. You can also use this recipe with a slow cooker or a pressure cooker. Let me show you how to make this delicious dish. And before we get started, I want to talk about the lamb meat that I'm using today. If you don't like lamb, beef is going to be the perfect substitute for this recipe, and it's also going to be very, very delicious. What I like to do is buy the big boneless leg of lamb from Costco. It's grass-fed from New Zealand. This is not a sponsored video. I absolutely love their product, so I highly recommend it. So the leg of lamb is usually pretty large, so I cut it down. I'm using 3 pounds of it today, and I cut the lamb into larger chunks, about an inch, inch and a half. You don't want them to be too small. Chop that up, put it in a bowl, and now we're ready to head over to the stovetop. I'm going to preheat a large pan over medium-high heat on my stovetop and drizzle in a little bit of oil. And once this pan is nice and hot, I'm going to add in my lamb meat. Now, if you're using a smaller pan, I recommend splitting the meat in half so it doesn't overcrowd the pan. And I actually decided to split my meat in half too because I didn't want to overcrowd the pan. I want it to be nicely brown and not like stewed in the oil. So I'm going to season the meat with a little bit of salt. And my first batch of lamb is ready to come out of the pan. I'm just going to put it into a separate bowl, set it aside, and add the rest of the lamb into the pan. And because I have plenty of space in that pan, I'm also going to add in my carrots. Season this with a little bit of salt. And I have my second batch of lamb meat all brown. I'm going to return that first batch into the pan and add in 1 sliced onion. Going to season this, the generous amount of ground black pepper. Sprinkle in about ½ a teaspoon of paprika, ½ a teaspoon of herbe de Provence or Italian blend. And I'm also going to add about 1/3 cup of some leftover wine that I had in the refrigerator. You can also use beef broth for this if you don't want to use the wine. This happens to be a Zinfandel, a Merlot, or a Cabernet will also work really well. And I'm going to add in these potatoes. So I have about 2 pounds of baby potatoes. And now I'm going to take a spatula and toss this all together. You want to have everything really well combined. And I'm going to cover this with my lid, and it's ready to go into the oven. And my lamb roast dinner is all put together and in the oven. I had mine preheating to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to roast at that temperature for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. The longer, the better that lamb meat will be, or beef if you choose to use beef. It's just going to be really tender and like melt in your mouth delicious. I'm going to keep the roast covered the entire time, and then about halfway through I'm going to take it out, use a spatula to toss everything together to get all those flavors really well combined. And I recommend getting that oven preheating as soon as you start this recipe to make sure it's really nice and hot and ready to go. And I just took my lamb roast dinner out of the oven. It smells so good. This has been roasting away for 2 hours now. I mean, check out the color. It just looks so rich and hearty and warming. I cannot wait to dig in and enjoy this. This looks perfect. I just want to grab a fork and show you guys really quickly how tender this meat is. It just breaks apart with no effort. It's so tender. It's just going to melt in your mouth. Really, really good stuff. And that's it, guys, for my super easy lamb roast dinner recipe. You guys are going to absolutely love it. It is so easy to make. Really, really delicious. For the full recipe, head on down into that video description box. I've left a link that'll take you over to my blog where you can print this recipe off and share it with your family and friends. And now time to dig in and enjoy. I just love how aromatic this dish is. It fills your house with the most incredible aroma. And I like to grab a little bit of everything. The baby potatoes, the carrots, and a little bit of lamb. This dish is absolutely phenomenal. You guys are gonna be blown away with the delicious flavors. It's become one of our favorite recipes, and we've been enjoying it once a week during this winter time because it's just so hearty and warming. I also really love the simplicity of this dish. It's just a couple ingredients tossed together, roasted in the oven for a few hours. You just cannot ask for a better dish. For the full recipe, don't forget to head on down in that video description box. And if you do make it, leave me a comment and let me know how much you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time with a new recipe.